Welcome to Oil and Whiskey, an Ironclad original. I am Josh Henning.
I'm Phil Gerber.
I'm Jeremy Gerber.
Welcome to Oil and Whiskey, an Ironclad original. This is part 2 of our best of season 2 conversations. Stick around to hear highlights from our time with Jesse James. I don't know who he is, but stick around. You'll find out more about him.
It's a El Jefe, man.
Stick around to hear highlights from our time with Jesse James, Cletus McFarland, and many more. This season kicked off our good friend, TV personality, and car enthusiast, Courtney Hansen, the only person that's come on in studio and drank us under the table via tequila. She's hosted and co-hosted shows including Overhaulin, Rides, Biggest Spenders, $1 Million Motors, Powerblock, PowerNation, Velocities, Channels, Vinsetta Garage, and the new one, The Ride That Got Away. Coming back for season 2, Courtney Hansen.
I think Courtney Hansen also kicked off the biggest hangover in the history of oil and whiskey.
Next day.
Yeah. That's a fucking good time, man. Courtney's a blast.
Yeah.
It was like a 4-hour podcast, wasn't it?
Yeah, it made us have to start practicing after that on the drinking thing. She's obviously a pro. We are not. Tell us about, we're being all over the place. Tell us about Linda Vaughn. How did you first meet Linda Vaughn?
I met Linda Vaughn when I was a little girl. She's like family to me.
Really?
So she was always at the races, and she's friends with my dad. My dad's her older because my dad was married to a woman before my mom. So my dad and Linda are the same age, and my dad's still living, doing great, and just sent me a picture. I'm like, oh, he looks so good. But my dad was just like, oh my God, Linda Vaughn is the most gorgeous woman ever. And I just remember as a little girl just being enamored with her and thinking it was so cool that a woman was loving cars and motorsports. And I looked at her as, I could tell then, like, she's special. Like, she's a pioneer in paving the way for women in motorsports, and in her own unique way.
Is anybody working? Is she working on a book?
She has a book.
Is there?
She has a book, and it's awesome. She has a coffee table book, so it's pictures and stories, and it's really good.
I want her to do like the podcast.
So I have the dirt, and I can't. She has stories for days, you guys, and you would just die to hear these stories. And I know them. I know all her stories. I'm like, what?
That's the type of book that I'm talking about.
I mean, maybe she'll write it soon, but if she wrote that book, I mean, it includes a lot of the people that know, the most famous people that we know and have talked about, and I'm sure many people have asked her to do it, but she's
that's got to be, that would be an amazing read.
We got to meet her at again, I keep talking about this Mr. Gasket Suburban. We unveiled it, and they had that cool little like private party through Mr. Gasket at some casino or something, right?
Yeah, outside of Vegas.
Yeah, so Linda Vaughn was there, and Phil and I got to like fulfill one of our father's like fantasies, I guess you could say. He's no longer with us, but he was 64 or something at the time. Yeah. And there's Linda Vaughn, and there's my dad. And at that particular SEMA, my mom was also there. Yeah. And she wasn't like super stoked because there was like, he was kind of like giddy about it. It's like a childhood.
I mean, she's a bombshell.
Yeah.
And she's still so beautiful. She is one of the funniest people I've ever met. She's hysterical.
Really?
Oh, she's hysterical and nonstop. She's always talking, and she's always funny. She's so witty. She makes me laugh as hard as anyone's ever made me laugh. And she's not a comedian, but she could have been a comedian. And her stories just, I'm constantly laughing. Like if I'm ever in a bad mood, just call Linda and she'll have me laughing. We do appearances together, and we used to do them a lot for Chevrolet, and we would do them throughout the US and Canada. And it was cool because she had an older generation, I had the younger generation, and there was crossover. And I mean, we got some solid lines going on, like at Autorama, Detroit. we had to cut the line. It was like wrapped. But part of it is that we want to talk to everybody. We both love to talk to everybody. It's not just like, here, let me sign this, and like we want to hear about people's stories.
Hey,
and what
Courtney, I got you some tequila.
Take
well,
a sip.
never mind that.
Take a sip.
I welcome that all day.
No, drink it. Drink it right now.
Drink it right now.
Ain't nothing weird. It's weird or nothing.
Oh man, but
like
we have a blast. She's awesome, and she's an icon, and she came to my wedding. She came to our wedding in Italy, and I was so happy that she came because she wasn't feeling 100%, and it was hot in July in Italy. But she came and she gave a speech there was no planned speech for her. But she wasn't really like loving the toast that people were giving. People were drunk and rambling and like weren't getting to the point, and they were going on for too long. And so Linda just grabs the mic and gives a speech that was one of the best speeches I've ever heard. And she just got to the point. She made everybody laugh. And after that, everyone's like, who the heck it was that? Because a lot of people in my life don't know who Linda Vaughn is.
Right.
Only a handful of people there knew who she was. So they were like, wow, that woman is dynamic. She's amazing. I want to know her. And yeah, she's incredible.
It's interesting you say that, bringing that up. Like you said, most people in your life don't know who Linda Vaughn is. So you got two sides. You got your personal life and you've got your professional life.
Yeah, that one like kind of rang a bell. Wheels are turning.
So go. We talk about that all the time. We talk about our wives. You got to meet this couple, and this husband, he's super into cars, and like probably not. That's. It's difficult. I mean, we're all into different things. Obviously, it's not just all cars or nothing.
It's just mostly cars,
but it's mostly cars, and that's
whiskey.
Yeah, whiskey,
little boats, guns, knives. That's about it.
Knives,
I mean,
don't forget
I'm
knives.
sure you've had to do that on whether it's your daughter's soccer parties or your husband's parties, and so there's people the whole time you're kind of like, yeah, these people have no idea like what I do or any. I mean,
yeah.
It's different.
It's different. It's like, it's a whole nother world. And then you step out of it and it's like, oh my gosh, they have no idea. They have no idea. And just like the preconceived notions that people have and the ideas that it's all glamour, and they just don't understand how hard you have to work, or like the fact that you have to pay your dues over all these years. And
it's funny too, how some people, they have so vastly different ideas of what it is, like what you're doing for a profession, and then the level of success. Completely opposite. It's so you're still playing with the cars and stuff like that. And then the others is kind of like, oh man, so it's like kind of like Dave Kindig and Chip Foose on the TV show.
Yeah, I'd say we're always just compared to like a certain TV show.
It's like, just like the easiest thing is say just like that.
Right.
Yeah, everything you've seen exactly like that.
Exactly like that.
Yeah. Oh man, that's cool. Have you ever met Chip?
You even look like him.
Fuck you.
I mean, it's a
Richard Rollins. You get any of that?
There's a little
No.
Well,
100%.
He's such a good friend of mine that like, no, I think you guys look totally different.
Okay.
Why? Because they have like similar beards. Like,
there's
We gotta get some pictures. They're dead on.
pictures.
Richard's a good-looking dude.
He's a good-looking dude.
For 65 years old.
He's 65.
No,
He's older than me.
he's not. No way.
I know. I'm just fucking with him. I'm fucking with Richard.
I was going to say his wife is older than him. This is what I love. She's older than him, wealthier than him.
His
and
wife's like a
she's
fucking
a
smoking.
bombshell.
Oh, yeah, she's a bombshell.
Yeah.
Total bombshell. She's
But you
hot.
know
and she's so nice. I love her.
It flipped the script for him completely opposite of what he's ever. Yeah, I'll take the trash out. I said, fucking take the trash out now. It's Sunday. It's trash day.
Trash monkey.
Damn it, Richard.
Yeah, I think he finally met his match with Katerina for sure.
Yeah.
But she's awesome. She's a sweetheart. But yeah, like a lot of the people that I hang with day to day don't understand what I do or any of it, or they think they do, but they don't. So you guys experience that too?
Yeah,
Constantly.
It's difficult.
Like even in family, right? Like family members don't even get it, and
Yeah, so I had, my wife's grandpa. He is a dickhead. He's no longer with us.
bless his soul.
God bless his soul. Right.
To speak ill of the dead.
Yes. So this guy, he used to say all the time. He'd like basically say like, when are you going to get a real job?
Yeah.
And he was very concerned. He would express that concern that I'm not going to be able to take care of his daughter doing the shit that I'm doing, you know? And every time it'd be like, every conversation was so when are you going out of business? And when are you going to get a job?
I've dealt with the exact same thing. I'm from a very Bible. My dad's a preacher. His dad was a preacher. His brother's a preacher. I mean, it's very. That was the path. You know, go to Bible college, become a preacher. So this whole world is it might as well have two heads, and it's always been that way. It'll be that way when I go back for Thanksgiving. So you're still playing with the cars and stuff? Yeah, I'm looking at
It's never really looked at as
haven't you been without a fucking job for 6 months?
Yeah.
You haven't done shit. You know? And
It's so insulting. It's so insulting and frustrating. Did you ever think about being a preacher?
Oh, I went to 1 year Bible college.
And then
They said don't come back. In May, our good buddy Jesse James returned. He is the creator of West Coast Choppers and starred in television shows, including Monster Garage and Jesse James is a Dead Man. He also recently launched his own network, just recently, like right now.
Right now.
Outlaw TV. In this clip, Jesse talks to the guys about what he thinks sets a good car TV show apart from the rest. That was a fun time.
That was, man. Jesse's always a good time. I'm looking forward to seeing some of that. You know, it's just hitting now, right?
Yeah.
Check it out.
I think the second one was actually better than the first one.
You get to see him build a gun,
Yeah, that's always
shoot
cool.
a gun. Thought we were
Talk
getting
about
shot
his,
at in the
talk
video.
about his
Yeah, it was
Santa
really
Fe.
cool.
Jesse showed his soft side with the Santa Fe.
Was that a soft side or was that a hard side?
I think it's soft.
I bet you talk about Jesse showing his soft side with the Santa Cruz, he's going to show you his hard side. I guarantee it.
I think like for years I've been trying to convince these network people that like of ideas and things I want to do, and I don't know. I think maybe it's that pattern of like pitching stuff to a network and then they buy it and they bankroll it and all that stuff. Well, take all that out of the equation, make my own format and pitch the stuff myself in my own mind, and then put it on and watch it, because I haven't had television wise, I haven't had a lot of misses.
Yeah.
You know, I've been lucky to do some shows that are some pretty big hits and pretty big viewership and all that stuff just out of my own head. And I think that's another reason why I'm pushing to do this, is like to prove it to myself that this is something that I'm skilled at also. Like I'm also like, I can make a gun or a bike, or I can make a gas tank, or I can forge stuff and all that stuff. But I also can put together and build a TV show and build something that's interesting to people watch, and then kind of tricks people, teaches them stuff without even them knowing they're learning something.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
Dude, I think that like people that excel in what you do, like the stuff we do, I hate to say we've got like a superpower to sound like arrogant or cocky, but generally I feel like when you have that creative skill set, you can do a lot of things better than a lot of people, you know?
You're looking at it from a creative standpoint.
Yeah, like the TV stuff's a prime example. Like
that skill set / chip on your shoulder.
yeah, right, and it fuels you a little bit. But there's some pretty good TV show stuff out there in the automotive world. But we've been like offered, I mean, I don't fucking probably 24 TV shows over the years. Never seeked it out to just that we've wanted to do it. Every single time, it's the same story.
Like they're reading from the same script.
Yeah. How many cars can you build? How quick can you do it?
It's all a pattern, and all of it's terrible. You know, I basically cut this whole groove that didn't exist, and then I've been like staying in the same groove for 24 years, and it's finally like, okay, quarter century's coming up. Am I going to still stay in the groove, or am I going to do my own thing? You know, cut a new groove again and do something where it's like, you know, I have the freedom, you know, have the budget and the freedom to do what I want to do.
What's the most pissed off you've ever been at a production, either on set or in a meeting or something?
Oh, dude, I hate even talking about this dude. One of the producers of Monster Garage, this guy named Tom McMahon, he just killed himself like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, damn.
On St. Patrick's Day. But me and that guy used to go round and round and fight. and really, really good guy. I love the dude, but I think I just crashed in NASCAR. I had, I just had surgery, shattered my ankle and broke my tibia, and but I'm still at Monster Garage working and building something that week because production schedule. And he there was this kid named Tyler that lived around the corner from Monster Garage, and he used to ride. He was only 7 years old, and he used to ride his bike over there. And he had leukemia. He had cancer. And so kind of all the guys at the shop and everybody, we'd go by and see him and see his mom, and, just a sweet kid. And so I wanted to put him on an episode. The jet boat that we flipped upside down, I wanted him to he was going to come down on that build and come on, you can go for a ride. I'll put 2 seats in it. And so the whole build all week was working on a second seat for him. And McMahon was trying to pull me out of the studio. I was on crutches. I couldn't walk, but I'm still there trying to hammer some metal and make stuff happen. And McMahon just being a dick about it, just come on, we need to go down the street and film this. I'm like, dude, I didn't tell him anything that was going on, nothing with the kid. Well, the kid passed away that week, and so he couldn't make it to the thing. So I really made it a point. I really wanted to finish this and finish it with the seat for him. And I tried every possible way to explain to McMahon, hey, please just let me finish it. I'll explain it in the end. And he was just being a dick about it. And he wouldn't get close enough to me so I could hit him. but I was on crutches.
You get a little extra reach then.
I remember taking a water bottle and just squirting water at him. Because I tried to grab him a bunch of times and I couldn't get him and I couldn't get up. It was stationary, just sitting there. And I think that was one of the most pissed times I was. But
piss you off more dealing with some of the network guys, or when you're doing something like Monster Garage, dealing with some of the huge egos, pains in the asses? You had to have some interesting characters on there.
Yeah, I think this last round of Monster Garage we did was a little bit different. I think people are more savvy to TV, and I think people came before a Monster Garage, and there's probably people that wanted to fight me or stuff like that, but there wasn't a firm understanding of how television worked or reality TV was. So they were kind of wide, and they'd come in and they'd see me, and I'm like, oh, I guess I'm not going to fight him because he's probably bigger than I thought. And but this last one, man, there was some people that just didn't do anything on the build. It's one thing if you're mouthy, but if you're mouthy and lazy, then it just doesn't.
Tell us about Paul Sr.'s show. What's that going to be like? We had a great time with him when he was on here, and respect the hell out of him.
Well, he didn't get on TV until he was 50. So, and I think everybody's had their fill of seeing him yell at his kid.
Yeah.
I think we can, if you want to Google that or find it, you really need to see that. You can see it.
Yeah.
And I just think him and I have spent, our wives are really good friends, and him and I have spent some time here at the compound, and it just he's a neat dude.
Yeah, he is.
And he's had a pretty interesting life, 50 years before TV. And he had a whole ironworking business and in Manhattan, in the city, and doing all these, Hasidics had all these apartment buildings that they took over, and then all the Hasidic families would live in there. And they were having a real problem with kids falling out the windows because, big 25-story building, and there's no ironwork, no grates on the windows, and they'd open the windows in the summer because it's hot as hell. And then kids would fall out and die. And I just was like, I need pictures, let me see, I just know really interesting story about him. And I think he's such an iconic dude, and, part of Americana now that I just think, kind of it's later in life. And like, I just think it's, and again, stuff that I'm kind of interested in. I want to know more, and I want to do stuff where his life is now. And kind of, I thought he was going to be upset at the name Senior Living, but
the name is phenomenal.
he kind of just, which I think is great. Like, but he kind of just glazed right over, and he's cool. And, also too, like these Discovery likes to like double dip. I think I found the problem here. Discovery, like with Richard Rollins, that guy begged to be on TV forever with Discovery. And they, to the point where they make him sign that Jesse clause in the everybody that's on Discovery, Discovery makes them sign a Jesse clause in their contract. And that's where they get like any uptick in business with merch sales or, this bird's building a nest in here. You want to see it? Yeah. I figured they have this big old studio light that's set up as a strobe. He's inside there right now in the lawn building a nest. What are you doing? You see him in there?
You see him moving around there.
He's moving in.
He's
gonna come out hot.
He's gonna be shitting all over everything in your shop, dude. It's cute now.
Actually, I don't know what was I talking about.
You're talking about the
Jesse
clause with Senior.
So after I came in and kind of made all the money and everything, Discovery makes all their talent sign this contract that they get 3% or so of your uptick in business. So you do a TV show, and then plus they own the brand, like Discovery and Pelagian Pilgrim owns like part of Gas Monkey and all that stuff. And it's just crazy to sign that type of stuff away, and I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to make good shows and good content. So I want guys like Will and Senior and Billy, I want them to make money. I want this thing to be like a profitable thing for them where they can go back to selling t-shirts and stuff like that, and so like all the brands like Senior Living and all that stuff, Senior will own all that stuff.
It's Senior by himself, I feel like, is a huge hit because when you see him in Orange County Choppers, all the crap with Paul Jr. and all the other stuff, it kind of like gives you a warped view of who he is. But after talking to him, that dude's badass.
Yeah, he's a badass.
Yeah. And so we're bringing back we're going to bring back biker, like called Chopper Kings, which is like a biker build off type of motorcycle competition show. And so Senior, Billy, and I will be the judges of it. And that'll have a live TV component like the competition. And I think it's kind of like good to give some of these younger builders kind of let them go at it. Let them build stuff and us be the judge of it.
Hey, who was that kid came by the shop?
Colt Wrangler.
Jesse, you ever come across that kid? Colt Wrangler?
No.
He works for Revival now, I think.
Oh, he does?
Yeah. But he had dude, first of all, the baddest name, first and last name, Colt Wrangler.
He's a fucking cowboy, right? He rides rodeo?
Yeah. His brother.
Alan for Revival.
Yeah, he works for Revival now.
That dude only has one eye.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, every time I see him, I make him take his eye out. He's like, I don't want him. Shut up.
Yeah, check out Colt Wrangler on Instagram. Young kid. He came by here, headed to one of the Milwaukee shows and brought his bike by me. Fucking badass. Yeah, he's doing. It's cool to see, like you said, younger guys like that just are craftsmen that need that. You
need the stage or the platform to get out there to develop the customer and legitimize the business. But it's cool that you're giving those guys that opportunity.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's interesting too. If people want to watch that too,
You can give an opportunity to Richard Rawlings. He could use a new show.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, man, didn't go anywhere with that one. I thought I was going to
left that bait hanging.
You're throwing a lot.
You should give him a job at the shop, making frames.
But just keep selling them to him. We'll build him. He can.
Yeah, so he's the expert fab guy.
Over the summer, Chris Jacobs returned to Oil and Whiskey. He's a TV host and car enthusiast known for shows like Overhaulin and Long Lost Family. He's a huge Cubs fan. He hosts Meekum Auctions, SEMA Live, Dream Collections, and let's just face it.
A good-looking dude.
Good-looking dude, and at the end of the day, a better guy than us.
Yeah, I hope to be remembered like Chris Jacobs.
You won't.
Great-looking, good personality.
It's something to hope for. I wish I could fly an airplane, but that's also
So your
not
dreams are going to come up short.
Let's face it.
Chris is a solid dude, man. Awesome career. Entertaining guy. Super fun to just hang with, man. Chris, good shit.
Yeah, he was really good. I don't know what skeletons are in his closet, but there's got to be some crazy ones.
You won't know,
because
I think.
he's such a nice guy. Nobody's that nice without having something that they're into.
He puts those in the basement closet. That you are not going to uncover those.
Under a skeleton key. Yeah, you're not getting in that. What's the most pissed off you've ever seen Chip Foose?
Oh, you're gonna laugh. We were at SEMA one time, and it was the night before the show, so it must have been Monday night. And we're walking around, and everything's set. Like all the Teamsters have left, and there's still some stragglers setting up too, but for the most part, things are set up. And Chip we were looking at all the different cars that Chip had in the various booths, and the cleanup crew was in there like vacuuming the carpets, like doing one last vacuum. But it's not the car people setup crew. It's like literally the convention center staff coming in, and this woman was vacuuming and she was hitting the wheels with her vacuum. And Chip went, and I don't think it was Chip's car. I think it might have been a different car in the display that his car was in, but he went and pulled the cord out of the wall. And, that he didn't say anything to the person that was hitting the wheels with the vacuum, but he just kind of pulled the cord out of the wall and then he gave him a look. And I was like, whoa, that's the most pissed off I've ever seen Chip Foose.
He probably didn't get to see him at the Detroit Autorama when a former Roadster Shop employee was helping detail his car.
You going to tell that story?
We might as well, because that could be the most pissed off that Chip Foose has ever been.
I was not there, but I heard the story.
It took a while for me to get the courage to introduce myself to Chip Foose.
Outside chance why he's not on the podcast yet.
No, not outside. That's probably the exact chance.
We go to the Autorama one year, and this is kind of in its heyday.
12?
Yeah, it's like in its heyday, right?
Yeah.
And we had an employee that worked at the Roadster Shop who was kind of doing some detail type stuff. Former. So he offers up his services after hours to help Chip. Chip had like a team of guys wiping down the underside of this car. Well, I guess he went to implement one of his techniques for cleaning tires, which involves taking lacquer thinner on a rag and wiping down tires. Well, it works good if you don't airbrush the tires specifically for the show, because lacquer thinner takes paint off, right? I think Chip had a little bit of a shit fit over that one. And then shortly after that,
Chip was not happy.
No, he was not happy. But Clay Cook.
And this is probably one of his cars that won the Riddler.
Yeah, I think it still won.
Show.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It ended up winning.
It wasn't sabotage.
If he was there, he won. Yeah,
but that was
Imposter, wasn't it?
It was Imposter.
Yeah.
It was Imposter. Okay, wow. Yeah,
that was the same year that the Carbon Woody was there. That Clay Cook had just got done telling me about all the machine work in the front grill.
Yeah,
my shoulder's still not right.
Same guy. He's
Denny, right?
Yeah, he's walking around, and decides he's going to step into the booth. Because we're in there talking to Clay and the guys. Trips over the booth, and it's like nothing went out. He just went straight for the grill. He was headed for the grill. This is like 200 and something pound guy, and Phil looked like.
Cat-like dad reflexes.
Oh, yeah. Phil comes flying
Matrix.
Shoulder blocks him out of the way of the grill. So that saved us probably $100,000.
Nicely done. Yeah, I was going to say, if that same guy somehow messed up that carbon fiber grill, man, he would not have made it out of Detroit alive.
He single-handedly almost destroyed $5 million worth of cars at the show.
Damn.
This is the behind the
my default setting for a show car is do not touch it. And do not offer to do anything to it.
Yes.
I mean, they got, even if they ask, just be like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'll look.
Right.
I won't
you need
touch.
a glass of water, get you a bottle of water, something.
Right. I don't need to participate in any meaningful way.
Also, the reason we've never won the Shine Award, right?
Yeah, I think we
Same guy.
We talked about.
We've talked about that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, how did we even get here? Oh,
you were asking me what's the most pissed off I've ever seen Chip Foose. Yeah.
All right. What's the most pissed off you've ever seen Courtney?
Courtney's not really a pissed off person. I mean, she's so happy all the time.
All y'all can't be fucking happy, good looking, and talented.
It's Hollywood, dude.
It's so
Hollywood.
That's bullshit.
That's the way it goes.
They forgot to put the MAD program in our robot brains. I don't think I've ever seen Courtney mad. I really don't. She's just bubble city. Yeah, I gotta disappoint you on that one.
Oh well. What's the maddest you ever seen Bud? You know,
Bud is pissed off.
He's the opposite. He's the opposite. Bud is armed at all times, by the way. He's always has a knife. So,
Bud's probably got one of those like Jack Hawk truck stop knives, like the big long fixed blade tribal looking.
There's like 6 of them
Yeah.
It was given to him either by special forces
or some SEAL friend of his
or something. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But it's funny about Bud. Every time he greets me, and probably you guys too, if he knows you, his standard greeting is, a shake into a pull into an arm bar.
Yeah.
Just to kind of show his dominance when he first says hello. It's funny that during the first season of Overhaulin, we used to wrestle. Like Bud always wanted to wrestle because he was very into the mixed martial arts. So I remember we were at Robbie Gordon's shop one time, and I was dressed up for a prank as a police officer. So I had an Oxford on and some nice pants. And Bud and I start wrestling, and I split my pants in the back. And it was literally 10 minutes before we had to leave for the prank. So we're safety pinning my pants together. That was pretty funny. But no, Bud doesn't, he loves controversy and problems and stuff. So he really doesn't get pissed off. He prides himself on being able to resolve situations. We were at Wyotech in Wyoming one time, and there's a bar right by the school. We were doing an episode of the school. We were building the Speedbird, which was this beautiful modified 57 Bel Air. That we did from a hardtop car into a convertible. But we went to this bar called the Buckhorn, and a fight broke out, and Bud just cannot stay out of the middle of the mix. I watched him. As soon as I saw the fight break up, there was 2 doors in the bar. He went out the one door because it was a crowded bar, and we were on one side and the fight was on the other side. Bud goes outside one door, cuts down the sidewalk, and comes in the other door so he can be right in the middle of the fight. It was hilarious.
If a bar fight breaks out in Laramie, Wyoming, in a bar, I don't know that I want to be a part of it.
And if you're Bud, you're getting into it. He's got the skills to pull it off.
Right in there.
Man, I didn't know that Bud was a trained martial artist.
Better stop talking all that shit.
What's Bud been up to? I haven't heard much from him.
Bud's always got stuff going on. Yeah, he's got Battle of the Builders at SEMA. Yep. He is very big in the production of a lot of Baja 1000, score events. Yep.
That's got to be tough for an all black suit too.
It's hot out there.
He's always ready. He's a ninja. It must be tough to pick out which black shirt and pants he's going to wear, each morning.
Well, I think you just
is it going to be the short sleeve or the long sleeve?
They're laid out just Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Exactly. He's like Richie Rich. You open his closet, he's just got a row of the same thing he's going to wear. But yeah, no, Bud is he's a character, and he's a gamer and a hustler. He's always got something going on. So fortunately, he throws me a job every once in a while. I hosted Launchpad last year at SEMA, but unfortunately, they're not doing it again this year.
I'll tell you what. This is not a shot to Bud, but so his wife Adrian, whatever they did on the now I can't even think the name of it. That shows how much I've seen it. But the car, what's the car insurance infomercial in the mornings and stuff? The car shield.
Car shield.
Yeah, man, that thing runs. and maybe it's just when I get up in the mornings on Saturdays, going to the gym or whatever. It's Adrian on there for Car Shield every single set. And it's been on that like for years. So kudos to them. That was a great one. It just keeps running.
I'm hoping she's getting paid every time it runs.
Well, that's what I'm hoping too. Absolutely. We learned a ton from our next guest, Welden Lister. He's the owner of American Scroll Inc., an American clothing company whose graphic designs are taken from Welden's badass second, third generation metal engraving and transformed into apparel.
No disrespect to any other podcast guests.
Best stories.
Welden was the shit.
Yeah.
Man, does he have some stories.
Great stories, just great outlook on how to do things. Awesome podcast.
Might have been one of my favorites.
When I'm ready to retire, I hope that Welden will take me under his wing and make me an apprentice.
I bet he would.
We've seen your engraving skills so far.
They're not good.
No.
That's why you need to apprentice.
It's going to be a long road.
Yeah.
If anybody's going to learn, it's going to be somebody under Welden. Fucking great guy. I don't know when this is coming, so feel free to take this out if it's not chronologically appropriate. But the fucking coasters. Tell me what you would...
Hey, you just ruined the coaster.
Tell me what you would give for a Welden Lister scrolled brass oil and whiskey coaster.
A shit ton of U.S. currency.
Good thing, because we're going to charge a shit ton of U.S. currency. Fucking badass. Badass dude. Badass stories. Badass episode. Check it out. You're learning from your dad. You said you worked in there 26 years. That's absolutely amazing to be able to work with him for that long, side by side, doing some crazy stuff. You talked about him teaching you. You did, very early on, you were doing a gun. When did you start making your name? When did you start making
When did you Hank Jr., you're Hank Sr.?
Yeah, when did you Hank Jr.?
Well, that's a great question. I'm not sure I've thought a whole lot about that, but I think I would go back to into the 90s, I guess, and with my dad watching what I was doing, and I think he had a sense of maybe what I was capable of, but the commissions that I had coming in weren't supporting what my ultimate capabilities were. And so I had a family. I was working 2 jobs. I had another job that we can discuss at some point if you want, but I had, in my time off from that, I was engraving full time. So I had these dueling careers. I was a professional firefighter in San Antonio for 30 years. And
wow.
Yeah, I picked a job.
This is the most interesting man in the world.
By far.
So
you drink Dos Equis?
Well, anyway, my criteria was pretty simple. We were expecting a child, and I had been freelance engraving, and like they say, it's sometimes chicken and sometimes feathers. And so I thought, well, I don't know. I had this real feeling of responsibility, going to be a dad and all. And I thought, this is really not a good life, to try to raise a kid and or have a family, because I don't know sometimes if I'm going to make any money, and it seems that we're going to need a lot of it. And, it would seem as though. And so I thought, okay, I need a job that's got a lot of time off, because I really want to do this, but I need a job that's got a lot of time off, a lot of benefits, insurance, and a retirement. And so what is that job? And so that eliminated almost all jobs. And what was left was being a firefighter. And my dad had some friends that were firefighters, so I kind of grew up knowing those guys. And so I thought, I'm going to see if I can do that. And eventually I did, and went to work for a small department for a couple of years, and then segued into city of San Antonio, where I stayed 27 years. And but the motivation for that was what I just said. I needed a career that would do those things, and it allowed me the time off. I actually worked on duty a long time. I had a little shop set up in the back of the fire station when I would go to work. And seriously, now you can't do this now.
Right,
double dipping.
Don't try this at home. This is years ago.
Did that pair of Colts get engraved at a fire station?
No, it did not. But so
then it wouldn't matter what I'm finding them, and
yeah. So what would happen? It eventually came out. I set up this little shop in the back, and when we went on duty, I'd go, get all my stuff out, and what are we doing today? I would ask, the lieutenant, what are we doing? Nothing. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go engrave. So we changed at noon. I'd eat lunch and then go back to my little engraving shop and engrave for 24 hours sometimes. I mean, man, I'd work until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and back when I could do that kind of thing. And the word got out. And so every now and then the PA would come on. Hey, Lister, come up to the front. And I'd go up there, and it was some battalion chief from somewhere. Hey, Captain so-and-so over here is retiring, and the boys want to do a knife for him. And, spend about $50. When you're done, just let 40 know, and he'll come pick it up. And so the
you're paying your dues.
yeah. The chain of command is actually delivering my word for me. Bring the money. Here's the thing.
We're gonna let you keep doing that, but here's some stuff you need to do.
Yeah, right. And so it worked out pretty well. Probably wouldn't work now, but in that day and time. But in that day and time, it did. And man, I sidetracked so far. I don't know what the real question was, but okay, I know what it was. It was, so when did I become me and not my dad? And so I'll throw this out there. Some people ask me this, and I always marvel at this question. But who is better, you or your dad? I'm like, well, first of all, I'm thinking, what kind of question is that?
Obviously me.
That's a really bad question.
No, it is. And I always say, you know what? My dad was an amazing engraver. And if I could be as creative and awesome as my dad, I would feel like I was doing something. And that's the truth. And that usually they go, oh, okay. I'm like, I'm not going to tell you, dude, I am so good that I'm way better. Please just shut up. Anyway, so dad saw what I was doing, and he saw the potential. And he's like, man, he goes, you got to do some of these guns. He goes, I know you can do it. You know you can do it. But until you do one, the people who are going to pay you aren't going to know. So you need to do some of this kind of stuff. So he actually commissioned me to create some pieces that would push the envelope and push me outside of where I had been with just, scroll work. So these are guns with animals on them and scenes and all kinds of, wild stuff. And what he wanted to do, he was actually investing in me. And he knew that I wouldn't be able to do that right now. But if the world never saw one, the world was never going to ask for one. And so I appreciate that so much about my dad. We all need somebody who believes in us. You got to believe in yourself, but it's awesome when somebody believes in you. And sometimes they see things in you that you may not yet see. And they call it out and they say, I know you're better. You can do better and you can be better. You just got to do it. And that's not a derogatory thing, but it's like, man, I see this and I know you can get there. And so my dad did that. And so I did some pieces like that. And then, the word got out. And then I got to be able to do more of those things and more of those things. And then at that point, I start getting to kind of do what I want to do and then create the things that I want to create. And so when you're working on a commission, when somebody comes to you to build a car, I'm sure you've had all different kind of clients, and then you've probably really like the ones who go, man, I got a budget. I kind of got an idea, but I'm looking to you guys to sort of do it. And those are great people to work for because they let you be creative and they let you do what you love to do. And they're usually stoked whenever they see the finished product. When you got somebody who's so technical and it's got to have this, it's got to have that, it's got to have,
or they've printed out a picture and they say, trace this. I want you to engrave this on my gun. No, thanks.
No, that's a no.
Yeah, that's a no. Exactly.
Well, I've had people show me photos of other engravers whom I know, and I want a gun like this. I'm like, well, that's done by so-and-so. You need to go talk to him, right? Because I'm not going to create a gun like that. That's his deal,
right?
Not mine. So go talk to him.
We have this conversation on this podcast and in the shop all the time. It's funny. You have people come, man, love, big fan of the Roadster Shop. Love you guys' work. Love this, blah, blah. I want a car like this.
Yeah.
And it'll be
here's
like
some pictures of
a Ring Brothers or whatever. It's like, well, that's what they built and stuff.
Call the Ring Brothers.
Right.
Dude. They'll build you
it's
a
your
badass
competition.
car, just like
yeah,
that.
they want you to build one that your competition built, or whatever. Yeah, and it's like, no, can't do that.
That's a great point, though. The greatest things we've ever built, the things we're the most passionate about, were the customers that came in with just an idea for an old car. And well, what are you guys thinking? I mean, what would you like to do? Make it cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had a guy that there's two guys involved in this story. One of them I called the Gopher. And so the Gopher's job, he worked for a very wealthy attorney. And so the Gopher's job was to find guns. He would go for guns, right? So he was the Gopher. He went all across the country finding. Yeah, I know, man. It's like, dude, he rode his Harley to Sturgis one time and had the Dakota built. Okay. And shot it, and then had him take it apart and send it to me for engraving. And, I would actually let you pour me one right now if I was there.
I would love to.
So the Gopher would bring guns and say, hey, the guy's name was Mike. And he said, Mike wants this or Mike wants that or blah, blah, blah. And the projects kept getting more and more involved, right? So then he shows up one day with a couple of Colts that were factory engraved. Mike doesn't like these, and he wants you to fix them. I said, so these are factory engraved, just like a faux pas to do that, blah, blah, blah. He said he knows that. He wants you to fix them. So me being a little slow, right? I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm in the shed, but I said,
in the shed.
in the shed. So I'm like, but to do that, you have to do blah, blah, blah. And I explained the process. Yes, but Mike doesn't like them. He wants you to fix them. I said, it's going to be very expensive. It would be less expensive just take two plain guns. Mike doesn't like them. He wants you to fix them. I said, oh. I'm like, the light bulb finally went on. They're like, there's some really bad wiring. And then ding, Mike wants me to fix those. He says, yes. I said, okay, got it. And so those were two very elaborate projects. One of them was a 9mm factory chambered single action. That's been done on about 50 guns that I know of. And so it's not a standard thing that you could get that I know of. And the only commemorative it was on was called the European, and it had some really big European style engraving on it. And so I had to get rid of all that. And that involved a lot of process to do. When we got done with that, then he comes back with this gun and he says, it's a single action. And he says, okay, here's the deal. Mike wants you to make this so nice that you don't want to let go of it. I'm like, okay, so what's he thinking? It's your deal. You make it so nice that you don't want to let go of it. No budget was discussed. Okay. And so at this point, we were years into our relationship. I had never met the guy. I only knew the Gopher. For all I knew, the Gopher was Mike. I mean, right. I didn't. And
that's a daunting task, though. Unlimited.
You need some direction.
So, you got to have some borders.
Yeah, you need to cap. So just how many zeros? At least give me a number of zeros.
So it'd be like me coming to you and go, okay, how much? Here's a check. Okay, get to work.
Right.
And that's it. You make it so nice you don't want to let go of it. And so I struggled with that for a little bit because I thought, okay, I got to have a theme. And then between my wife and I, I'd bounce stuff off of her and, what was about this idea? What about that? And I developed or settled on Indians and buffalo. And so I used scenes from Western art. Remington Russell, Frank McCarty's a more modern painter. But I would take adaptations of their buffalo hunt scenes with Indians that I liked and sort of modify them to fit on what I was doing. And so there was one other artist named Henry Merwin Schrady that I also used. So 4 artists. And you know what they say. I mean, good artists borrow, great artists steal. So I just stole their art. I was inspired by the Western art of these guys and then adapted their scenes to fit on what I was doing. And so I did the single action that had multi-level raised and relief gold Indian and buffalo scenes on it. sculpted engraving. I mean, it was like me going, man, this is everything I can do. At that point in time, it was like the pinnacle of what I was capable of. I mean, I did everything I knew how to do. And so I got to meet Mike. I delivered the gun in person. And everybody that saw that gun before that, their first thing out of their mouth was, wow. Is they would look at it and go, wow. And when you hear that, you think, okay, I achieved something. I invoked a reaction. People like what they're seeing, but they're not writing the check. Mike is, so I got to see what Mike says. So Mike says, I meet him. He's a really great guy. Love the gun. Wow. And his wife happened to be walking by. Hey, honey, come here. I want you to meet Welden. He's been engraving guns for me, and he just did this piece. I would like you to look at it. She takes it and she goes, wow. Because I had just told Mike, I said, man, everybody has said wow. And like it was scripted, she comes in, wow. And so the worst part of it was I didn't realize how literal he meant. Make it so nice that you don't want to let it go. And he had, later on, I learned that he had done that with a number of people that he had patronized with their art. One person said, I don't want to let that go. And he said, okay, keep it. And I did not realize that's how literal he was. Had I realized it, I would have said, dude, I don't want to let this go. It's really done. I'll just keep it. Anyway, it went into his collection. Unfortunately, Mike passed away a couple of years after that. And but it is still in his wife sold a bunch of his stuff. She kept everything I did, and that gun is still in her possession.
Wow.
So
that's incredible.
So that was a long answer to your question. When did I get to become me? And I had the opportunity to become me because my dad encouraging me to do that, and then wanting to. I think in order to get good at anything, we have to try, and that drive comes from within us, right? You have to want it. And if you want to be good at what you do, you want to be great at what you do, you don't sit there wanting, you do. And you keep doing, and you don't quit until you get better. And then you keep trying to get better. And I still learn stuff, and I'm not as good as I could be. I don't think if I ever get where I think I'm as good as I'm going to get, I ought to quit, because why? I mean, look, every time you pick up that chisel, you have to make that chisel do what you want it to. And so when you look at my work, what you see is a recording in steel of how good I was that day.
One of the most popular episodes we released all season was our interview with YouTube star Cletus McFarland. He's an automotive enthusiast known for his channel that you can find at Cletus M. He's famous for car modifications, racing adventures, and hosting the Cletus and Cars events. I mean, everybody knows who Cletus McFarland is.
I'm jealous of Cletus, man. That's he figured it out, dude. He's got the life.
Buy a racetrack and race Crown Vics. That's, yeah.
It's the biggest 13-year-old's treehouse you're ever going to have.
Good dude. But the podcast was
so
cool.
much room for activities.
Podcast was super cool listening to him. I mean, that doesn't come easy. You know, it from the outside looking in, that looks super rad. Dude's fucking obviously worked his ass off.
A little smarter than I thought he was going to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's
he was.
Super awesome compliment and shot at the same time.
No,
I never like
coming from the master of the backhand compliment here.
Yeah, that one's definitely backhanded. But
no, not at all.
No, didn't mean it to come. It just came off that way.
Maybe it came off that way.
Yeah, Clay is cool, dude. That was a good time.
Check it out. What cars are still on your list that you want to build? Personal cars.
Superbird. Yeah, Superbird is my biggest. That's like when I build my like 5-second street car, it's gonna be a Superbird.
What motor?
That's a lot of car.
I don't know. I don't know on the engine. Probably some sort of billet street motor. You know, it's gonna have to be a billet big block.
Better be a fucking Hemi, because we just posted a video out there that's a Mopar that's not a Hemi, and people get pissed. Mopar
Yeah.
guys, dude, fuck.
Oh yeah, I know they'll probably kill me.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. It'll be a Hemi.
Yeah, 420. Yeah, fucking 426 with a 750 double pumper on it. Goddamn right.
Exactly. I just love those cars. There's a guy with like a gray one, drag car with like the sick wing. Like, dude, they just I love those cars.
Yeah, it's a cool car.
Is that a childhood thing? Because I feel like that car, I had the die-cast car, and as a kid, you're like, man, dude, you are attracted to that Daytona and the Superbird. Big old wing.
Yeah, no, they're so cool. And like, I would love like a carbon fiber body one. What I really want to do is have someone build me a chassis and just make the body funny car for the street.
So let us know when that project comes around. That'd be cool.
Well, I'll definitely let you guys know, but I'm talking like.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
The street version.
But I'm like, I want to have like a little button that like raises the funny car lid, so like when I pull up to get gas on drag week, I can just like race week, I can just like boop, it's like
that would be
cool.
Just
jump out.
Have you done drag week in the Elko?
Oh yeah, I've done like freaking 10 of them in the Elko. Not drag week specifically, but Rocky Mountain Race Week, Sick Week, like Midwest Drag Week, all those ones I've done. So like several times.
Elko sounds like a cool car.
It sounds like a cool car, but
Elko's won them several times.
Dude, to be honest, the coolest thing I've seen you behind the wheel of is that little jet boat. How was that experience, man? Because that's probably the only thing I've ever seen on video that you really get the like I'm sitting in the passenger seat kind of feel.
Oh, are you talking about the sprint boats, like the ones in the little canal?
Yeah, dude, that was the raddest video.
Yeah, those things are. It's like imagine if you were going down the road at 80 miles an hour and your driveway was on the right and it's a skinny driveway and you can just maintain 80 miles an hour and make a right angle turn into your driveway. Like that's what those boats can do. I mean, they have knives in the water. It's like having an unlimited traction. Unless you come out of the water, then you will crash. Like I hit the catch fence this weekend, fucked up my boat.
Yeah, it looked like there's a threshold there to the traction. It's like
it wasn't spectacular. There is basically no threshold to the traction
in the water.
But like I hit my own wake coming back through the center of the course.
Yeah.
While turning, and sometimes she just stays hooked up. Sometimes she goes a little crazy and it hopped out and I corrected. And then once I got up on land, you're just along for the ride. It's like the thing accelerates when it gets onto the grass and you're in a straight line arrow for whatever you're aimed at. And I just happened to hit one of the poles on the catch fence. So
damn.
Now you have another jet boat as well, right? You got a flat bottom jet boat?
Yeah. And then we built these river jet boats. They're called, mini jet boats as you call them. And like, we just take those things up like crazy Idaho rapids and just beat them off boulders, jump in logs, whatever, alligators, you name it. Like those things are indestructible.
Yeah, we got a bunch of guys in the shop messing with those. There's like 3 or 4 of them.
Oh, mini jet boats?
Yeah.
Oh, nice, dude. Tell them to hit me up. Yeah. I'll show them spots. That's like my favorite thing to do is outside of like flying stuff, jet boats are so enjoyable. They're like indestructible little missiles, and going up rapids is by far, it's got to be my top 2 things in life. Is like going up a rapid just feels so cool. Like you're just like, the boat's like getting the crap beat out of it. This water's rushing by like you've never seen. You're on plane and your ground speed is 0, right? So like you're looking at the shore and the shore is not moving, but the boat's on plane. The water's going so fast.
Wow.
When you get up in those rapids, it's the most beautiful sights you've ever seen. Your adrenaline's ripping, the boat's working. Like it is such a amazing sport. Like rapid river jet boating is crazy awesome.
I gotta try that.
But you really to do it, you have to build your own boat. No one will let you take their boat up the rapids. So
it's just
so
much abuse on those things, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I mean mine are like totaled. Like I wouldn't even sell mine because they're so clapped out.
So you mentioned RCs at the beginning, RC planes. So I'd assume that's where the helicopter infatuations come from, just like, full size now.
I've been flying like RC planes since I was super young. They're littering my whole house.
Then you said, screw it, I'm going to take, pilot license and start flying a helicopter.
Yeah, so I've got my helicopter license, I've got my airplane license, I've got my seaplane license. Like I just once I was able to afford that sport and get into it a little more, I started taking lessons on all of them so that I could just be a part of that community, because the aviation community is really cool. So I bought a little plane and been just experimenting, trying to do it as safe as possible. Like I got my licenses a long time ago, several years before I posted it on YouTube, because I didn't want to like die trying to film a cool YouTube video. Like you know how car guys are. Like,
yeah,
we like build a car and the first thing we do is like rip it as hard as we can. And like, it's not like with airplanes, like if you get your license and do that, like you'll probably die. So figured like maybe I'll wait a while and then rip it. So now I'm doing sporty stuff on YouTube with that stuff. But I just try and do it safely. So
that's badass, dude. How old of a guy are you?
I'm 28.
28, dude. You ever pinch yourself and be like, I'm fucking kicking ass in a short amount of time? Does it ever dawn on you?
I've been talking about it a lot lately. My friends are like telling me to shut up, but I'm always like, guys, you don't understand how lucky we are. Like, I'm like, we got to all stop for 1 second and look around, because we are so lucky. And like, my wife tells me to stop saying it too. I'm like, but there's a lot worse things that we could be doing. And then it goes a lot further than that. Like, the fact that we even, the list is so long. You guys know this stuff, but like the list is so long about how lucky
you're
we
at
are.
the fucking top of the list, though.
I don't know how we made it there, but I'm extremely grateful for it. But like, man, like we get to fly on a commercial airplane. There's probably, I would say it's less than half the population in the world gets to fly on a commercial airplane. Like, I don't know what it all breaks down to, but it's crazy. The fact that we live in the United States is a huge, lucky thing for us. And then to live in our own home is a big deal. A lot of people who have to live with several families in one home, and it's like the list of how lucky we are to do what we do is just crazy long. And I try to appreciate it every day, especially since I've had my son. That's like, I can't get it off my mind how blessed we are to just be able to have a kid and enjoy his presence. And when he has a poop explosion and his diapers have a full blown blowout, and I'm like sitting there and my wife and I are down on it, and I'm like, I'd do anything to hear this kid cry. Yeah. Like, yeah, it sucks, but
it could be worse.
At least it could be worse. So
that's badass.
You get me going on that, man. That's something I love talking about.
Well, you gotta save some, dude. You're 28 years old. You've got a lot of life to do some things, and it seems like you're knocking shit off the list like at a rapid pace. I hope it's a big list.
People have told me to save some. I've had some old guys come up to me and say, save some for later, and I'm like, dude, I can't. Like, I gotta get up. Like, I'm going to. I don't know what's next, man. But I'm not stopping to. For anything but hanging out with my family, like if I'm not hanging out with my family, like I'm taking my friends to go do something cool.
A few weeks back, Jeremiah Burbank came on Oil and Whiskey. He's the owner of high-end knife retailer PVK Vegas. Lots of famous celebrity clientele.
And badass knives.
His
Instagram
cool stuff. Hatchets, sucks. Throwing stars, all kinds of shit.
We need more Johnny Depp. He gave us just a little glimpse into Johnny Depp.
I'm guessing based on the conversation that he's signed
There's an NDA.
multiple NDAs from those guys. Yeah.
I think you're right.
Hey, after all this coke we just did, you're gonna sign an NDA, right? Here's a clip.
Celebrities, which was a huge fun. Like, the amount of celebrities that came in and really just enjoyed the experience of shopping, sort of that helped because that brings so much excitement to your everyday. You're dealing with the public all the time, and then you're there at these weird hours, and then all of a sudden, the storefront is empty and there's bodyguards out there, and you're like, wait,
damn. And in walks Steven Seagal to buy some throwing knives, right? Tell me you've
passing by.
Yeah, he's looking for Richie in there.
Yeah.
Tell me you had Seagal in there.
Oh man, I wish. No,
Sure.
I did not.
The name drop some celebrities that came.
Chuck Norris.
I would Chuck Norris. So a good friend of the shop who was one of our very first celebrities in was Post Malone. I think he'd be okay with me saying that. He's famously came by the shop. Still a very good customer till this day.
He's into some cool shit.
Yeah,
dude, he's in it, man.
Yeah,
no joke.
He just looks like a guy you want to hang out
with. I know.
I don't really listen to his music, but he just seems like a genuinely cool dude.
He's just having fucking fun. Yeah. Anyway, sorry to derail. Yeah.
No, he's so legit. So him and his crew showed up like 5 minutes after we opened. Me and my other guy are there like drinking coffee, working off kind of a long night actually. And we look out in the showroom and just sort of like giant body, bodyguard type dudes. And you're like, those are bodyguards. And he runs back there and he's like, Post Malone's in the showroom. And I was like, oh shit. Like, okay, I'm reasonably recovered for this. Like, okay. And he just came in and a friend of mine had let me know about a month ahead of time. He was like, hey, so-and-so is his tour manager. He might come by. I get that a lot, like that's like as good as the check is in the mail. So I'm not, out of my mind.
Right.
He came in and he was just the chillest dude I have ever met. Super polite, just very cordial, very yes, sir. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's chill. And he came back and, because it's Vegas, I'll sort of lay this out. So the showroom is where all the knives are. The way we set it up, we built a wall. So when you're looking down the showroom, you just see a wall and then there's a register and there's a wall. So there's, that's the showroom. To the other side of the wall, about 5 feet, there's a corridor, and then we have a whole VIP room.
And that's where the drugs are.
That's where I don't, maybe, possibly, I don't,
So what's in the VIP room?
Right, good question. So the VIP room is where the super spicy stuff is. That's where the ultimate of spice happens. So that's where we curated. We had these massive glass showcases, which we littered with custom knives. And we also had liquor of various kinds, flavors, and styles mixed in there. We actually had, all kinds of bourbon, vodka, not that much, some cognac for sure. But anyway, all kinds of stuff.
Nothing from the Petro and Racine.
If I had known about it, if y'all had hit me up,
we'll send you what's left. It'll be all of it.
Yeah, package that up. Bottle. But like Eames lounge chairs, right? Like sort of famously iconic chairs. And then we had this giant glass table, which is actually right over here. And we had sort of 4 tables around this giant glass table. And that's kind of where the business got done. You can pour drinks. Couldn't really smoke back there. But, pour drinks, go over deals, hang out with friends, and be in a more private environment for, higher end sales. A guy comes into the showroom looking for a Marfione custom, knows what he wants, asks, no problem. Another guy, I'd like to take a look at 3 or 4 things, maybe 5 things. He's wearing a Rolex. He talks the right talk. Sir, why don't you come with me into the back room? There's just a wall. Sir, just come with me. And then, you have this whole world back there. Puts people at ease. It's a little more private and you can just hang out. And it's very no pressure, right? Touch the knives, hang out, it's fine. So hosts guys all came back to the VIP. We have this like a giant beer cooler. It's sort of one of those like neon blue things. So post guys come back and they're like, bro. And I'm like, yeah, like, no, have at it, man. So I don't know what's in there after last night, but like whatever's in there, just feel free to drink it. So his guys just start cracking beers and they've been up all night long. Like literally he's like, oh no, we've been walking around all night. I'm like, yeah, I know what that's like. He's like, no, we've been walking around all of Las Vegas since midnight. And I'm like, that's 9 hours. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. Like, we're having a great time. So they all pass out. Literally, his bodyguards pass out on the ground, which it's totally fine. Don't care. And then the other half of them hang out, talking knives, drinking beers, like really great time. Super nice dude.
Cool.
knew exactly what he wanted, was happy to take a look at some new stuff. I showed him some interesting things that I liked. He was into it. It was a great interaction. And like I said, because of that, he's still a customer to this day. So the showroom was a really great intro for a lot of people and a lot of, other celebrities to become familiar with the brand, come familiar with me, my brother. It's pretty righteous.
So what does a guy like Post Malone buy and carry?
What does he carry? So then he came in specifically at the time he was looking for a Marfione custom Continental set.
Okay.
I don't know if anyone's familiar with that, but it's basically a Pelican case, and it's a Marfione custom Combat Trudon, and it's a custom Ultra Tech, and it was for the John Wick movie, which at the time I think we were on John Wick 2. I think it was 2 or 1. I'm slipping now.
It had a Continental coin. Didn't it have a coin?
Yes. So it had a gold coin, or had 3 gold coins, because I think he ended up getting the premier set. There's 2 silvers and a gold, and there's 3 gold coins. He got obviously the nicest one. And he was really excited. That was his impetus for coming into the showroom. He was like, y'all got that Continental set? And I'm like, for you, I do have one in the back. Yes, sir, I do. I know he's very much into Microtech still, though recently he's been ordering a great deal of custom stuff, which is awesome. His tastes are expanding, as anybody in the sort of any hobby you do. You sort of start somewhere, you have your gateway drug, and you get really excited, and you sort of,
then you got to find that vein, and then you're tapping.
That's it.
That's where it goes.
Get that racine, and then you're just and then you relapse, and then you come back, and you're like, oh my god, that was bad.
Or most. I don't think there's any coming back to this.
That's horrible. It's really bad shit.
Yeah, my chest is on fire right now.
When those celebrities, not to stay on this, but I mean, generally interested in it. The most of the time, were the celebrities kind of already enthusiasts, and they're looking for something, and they're into it, or do you have that guy that is Johnny Depp stumbling in? And he's like, I've never had a switchblade. I'd like one. He
probably wants it. I can see him carrying like a fencing sword, some sort of weird pirate thing.
Because he just played a pirate. He's not really a pirate.
He's got that look, even outside the movie.
But I mean, are they stumbling in?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So when Johnny Depp came in, he actually had a couple things in mind.
Solid flex.
Gotcha there.
Yeah.
Boom. So he came in. He came in a little late at night, and he actually had a couple things. I think he had sort of scrolled through our Instagram briefly, or perhaps one of his handlers did. I don't know specifically, but he came in. He was like, "I have this idea of this thing I want that I saw that you guys have. Can you show it to me?" And his visit was a little more, it was sped up. He's a busy guy, totally get it. He was very friendly, happy to hang out for a minute, but he kind of came in and was like, I'm looking for the switchblade. It's about this big. You push the button, it shoots out the front, comes back in. It's got like some abalone in it. And yeah, like I need it for a gift. Like, okay, I got you. Some guys ran in the back, opened the safes, pulled some knives out, put them on a table. He looked at them. He grabbed one, fired it. Grabbed another one, fired it. Okay, I love it. Quick pictures, handed it to my other guy. It was like, okay, good to see everybody. Got to go by. And he left out the back door. In that case, quick visit, but he knew exactly what he wanted. Top secret. Nobody's watching, right?
Yeah.
Celebrities actually all love knives. Knives are like everyone's secret thing. And
really?
I think it's yeah. All the celebrities we've ever dealt with, they all are secret. I don't know, I'm not blowing anybody's cover on that one. They all secretly love knives. And again, that's part of this stigma, which I'm sure everyone's kind of familiar with. It's like a gun thing. Everybody on the outside looks at this stuff and they're like, oh my God, like street weapon. Not really. It's actually like a finely made good that a lot of people collect, appreciate, and you can use to open Amazon boxes. It's not like the thing that you see at the corner store. It's very diametrically not that.
Thanks for listening all year long. The time for jokes has come to an end. We have to thank all of our fans, all of our listeners. There's 3 dudes in Canada that are super passionate.
Yeah, I think there's 3 in Australia and 1 in Canada, right?
There's 2 in Canada, I know for sure. Okay. 3 in Australia, 2 in Canada, and then that new dude in India. Been fucking awesome. No jokes. It's been a fucking great year. Are you guys looking forward to 2024?
Dude, great season, a lot of great guests, but I'm stoked for 2024. I'm having a shit ton of fun with this. You never know what the stories are going to be, man. You meet some incredible people, hear some incredible stories. Can't wait to just pack 2024 with some killer guests.
Yeah. Everybody asks us how long you're going to keep doing this. Right now, the answer is
until we stop.
Until the whiskey runs out or until it ain't fun anymore. There's plenty of fucking whiskey and it's still fun.
Or until the listeners drop into the low teens. I think at that point
that'd be an increase.
Careful. Yeah, let's not go there. Right, we're
okay.
We're not too far off from the low teens.
Then it might just be like, maybe I should just
fade into black.
Sit outside and just say it. Just do it in the parking lot.
Oil and whiskey. Here's a little known fact. Oil and Whiskey with the Roacher Shop is an Ironclad original. If you like the show, just keep listening. Honestly, I'm kind of tired of the whole leave a rating and review. I don't even care if you do.
Saying it.
Just keep listening. I have to read it because it's written down.
Keep listening and tell your buddy. Tell your buddy to listen.
Yeah.
Right? I've listened to a lot of podcasts. I've had a handful of buddies that are like, hey, dude, you should check out this podcast. And I listen to it and I like it. And then I start listening to it. So that's how it happens.
Just listen.
Tell a buddy who tells a buddy. Yeah. Right?
I would rather see negative comments than positive comments.
I'd like to see a lot more negative comments about you on there.
We'll see you soon for the kickoff of season 3. We got some bangers scheduled.